God created a beautiful and perfect world in 6 days. Then He created 2 very special people to enjoy it. Let's read about it. God had created the sun and the moon. He had created the plants, fish, birds, and animals. He looked at everything and saw that it was good, but His creation was incomplete. It was time to create people. Making people would be different from making the creatures and the plants. People were to be in God's own image, and they were to rule over the animals. So God formed a man out of the dust of the ground. He carefully made the man's fingers and toes, his eyes, ears, and mouth. When God finished modeling the man, He blew into the man's nose. The man began to breathe. He opened his eyes and looked around. God smiled at the first man and called him Adam. There was a lot to do that day. God told Adam that he was in charge of all the animals. His first job was to name them. Adam probably laughed when he saw the monkeys hanging from the trees, chattering to each other. He may have grinned when he saw the elephants with their long trunks and big flapping ears. He probably stopped to pet the shy deer and play with a black bear. God said, "It is not good for Adam to be by himself. I will make a mate for him." Adam had probably noticed that he was by himself. He may have noticed that all the animals had a partner. They had creatures like themselves to keep them company. They could communicate and share things, but there had been no one for him. So God made Adam fall into a deep sleep. Then He took one of Adam's ribs and created a woman. When Adam woke up, God brought the woman to him. Adam was pleased. He said, "She was made from my bones and my flesh. She will be called woman because she was taken out of man." And Adam called the first woman Eve. At the end of the day, God looked at everything He had created. He saw the plants, the trees, the fish, the animals, and Adam and Eve. It was near the end of the 6th day of creation. Adam and Eve met with God under the shade of the tree of life. "See the sun setting?" God may have asked. "I love the way the sky turns pink and orange and red when the sun sets, don't you?" As they watched the sun set on their first day of life, Adam and Eve listened to God. "When the sun sets, another day begins," God explained. "This sunset begins the most special day of all. Everything made in this earth is a present for you. There are so many beautiful and interesting things. It will take a long time for you to discover them all, but the best present has been saved until now. It is the present of a day, the 7th day. It will be called Sabbath." A day named Sabbath? Adam and Eve wanted to know more. God explained how happy He and Jesus and the Holy Spirit were with everything. As you have children, and your children have children, and learn more about this world, things will get very busy. We want to be sure that you will have enough time to spend with us. We want you to remember that we made this whole world just for you. We put a special day at the end of every week. It is a holy day that will be different from all the other days. It will be a time to stop thinking about all the things that will keep you busy on 6 days every week. You will be able to spend a whole day with us. We can only imagine what happened on the first Sabbath morning. Maybe God called Adam and Eve to the shade of the tree of life. Maybe they heard God say, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy," the very first time He ever said it. Maybe the angels sang for them and played wonderful musical instruments. Maybe God told Adam and Eve about how much He had enjoyed planning this beautiful world. What a wonderful day! Adam and Eve spent every minute with the wonderful God who had created them. They enjoyed the beautiful earth they could see in every direction. God must love us very much, Adam and Eve probably said to each other. Only someone who loves us could make everything so perfect. His love just fills us with love for Him. Every Sabbath in Eden, Adam and Eve visited with God. Every Sabbath, they remembered again how He had made the world for them. They remembered how He had made them and how much He loved them. Adam and Eve were happy in their garden home. The best part of the day was the evening, when God often came and talked with them face to face. On the seventh-day Sabbath, they spent the whole day with God. They probably never wanted Sabbath to end. God told them to enjoy every tree in the garden except one tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He said, "You must never eat the fruit. If you do, you will surely die." One day, Eve was walking through the garden and came near the tree. As she looked at it, a beautiful creature, a serpent, began to talk to her. "Is it true God has told you that you can't eat from any tree in this garden?" the serpent asked. Eve knew she should go away from that place, but she didn't. Instead, she answered the snake, "God told us we can eat from all the trees in the garden except this one. We are not to eat its fruit. We are not even to touch it. If we do, we will die." The snake answered, "You won't die. You will be as smart as God is. Eating the fruit will make you wise." Eve reached out and touched the fruit. Nothing happened. Then she took some fruit and bit into it. It tasted good. She picked more and gave it to Adam. When he knew Eve had eaten some, he ate some too. As soon as Adam took a bite, something happened to them. They realized that they were naked. They were ashamed and afraid. They knew they had done wrong. They ran to a fig tree and used its leaves to cover themselves. That evening, when they heard God walking through the garden, they hid. They were ashamed to meet Him. When God found them, He asked, "Why are you hiding?" "We heard you in the garden," Adam told God, "and we were afraid." God knew what they had done, and He was sad. They would have to face the consequences. He told them that they would have to leave the beautiful garden. They would begin to get old and eventually die. Life outside the garden would be hard. Weeds would grow. There would be thorns. They would have to work hard to grow their food, and everything else would die too, the plants and the animals. Even though Adam and Eve had chosen to disobey Him, God did not leave them alone. He told them about His plan to make things right. He would send His Son into the world. His Son would die and take the blame for all the things they did wrong. Adam and Eve were very sad and very sorry for what they had done. God forgave Adam and Eve for disobeying Him.